Hey all, well today we're going to talk about elevators and Harriers. So elevators and Harriers are really where 3D starts coming to life. 3D is all about the airflow. Thrust and airflow are what keep your plane in the air. It's all about the balance in all aspects, the amount of thrust, the amount of throw, the amount of airflow. And then your surfaces are used to balance everything out. In 3D, you're not pulling the nose up. You're actually pushing the tail down. Thrust and throw are increased to reduce forward flight. Your surfaces work like speed dampeners and then air brakes. The combination of cutting the throttle too far and increasing the deflection will result in a fall or a stall. When flying slow, deflection while you're turning will cause the plane to slow and then the wing will drop. To prevent this, you need to throttle up slightly to maintain enough speed not to stall. If you lead the turn with the throttle, your plane will stay more steady and you're less likely to stall. Less abrupt throttle means less torque and less gyroscopic precession. If you soften the spooling, your flight will look smoother. In Harrier, we're likely to have a minimal deflection. It's going to be bigger than our precision flight, but we're going to have a small amount of deflection. You're going to be down here to do a Harrier, and that's going to hold that plane up, and it's going to fly just fine. If we go too deep, the plane will tend to just continue to rise, and we'll go into a hover. When we do an elevator, we come around and we stall the plane. We give it full elevator. When we have full elevator, we're pushing air across, and we essentially have a pocket of air. And that's holding the tail down, so it's either dropping straight down or slightly forward at a much slower pace. Going into the wind, an elevator is going to use a little bit less throttle. We may have to release the air just a little bit because it'll have a tendency to balloon. If we're going downwind, we'll end up having more elevator and carrying that throttle just a little bit higher, and the plane will tend to drop down straight. Okay, so let's talk about steering a little bit. When I turn the rudder, it's going to cause the plane to dip down. When that happens, I need to give it aileron to counter that. You're always using a little bit of throttle, a little bit of elevator, they're going in synchrony, and your aileron and your rudder are also working together. As you're flying, a little bit of rudder to correct for a turn, a little bit of aileron to correct for balance. The key to making corrections when you're flying in high alpha is that they need to be short and quick. You don't want to hold the correction for a long time, because what it'll do is it'll take the plane out of balance and it'll cause it to stall. Short, quick, deliberate corrections. Coming up, we'll do a deep dive into Expo, but I'm just going to give you a quick overview on how I set up my plane. So I like to have a little bit more stable ailerons. I like to be 50 to 60%, sometimes even 70% on the Expo on my ailerons. I like my tail to be a little more sensitive. I have my elevator at somewhere around 35 to sometimes as much as 50% depending on the plane. And I keep my rudder between 25 and 30% Expo because I like it to be very sensitive. Everybody's Expo is going to be a little bit different, whether you're using your thumbs, whether you're using a pinch grip, everything changes. If you do want to learn more about the setup and how to fly 3D, make sure you subscribe so that you can be notified when the new fresh content comes out. I've talked a lot about doing elevators and Harriers. Let's take a little bit of time and get on the simulator. Start out by just doing a basic Harrier. Just go down the field, trying to keep everything straight and in control, balancing your controls. Then turn the plane and come back and do it again. It's going to take you a little while, but if you just keep working back and forth, using the simulator will help you out a lot. You can work on Harriers and you can also work on elevators. Just go up high, turn the plane around, catch it, give it full elevator, a little bit of throttle, and then just work on using your throttle and your elevator to bring it down. Once you get it down low, you back off the elevator a little bit and you just throttle up slightly and you can go across You can work on Harriers. Do it the other direction, just go back and forth. This practice will help you because it's also going to help you with some orientation and just some basic steering. As it comes to you, think about how it's steering, work on it back and forth. Try pulling it into a hover and even work on torque rolls from there. Now, the one thing that I will say about the simulator is it does not create gyroscopic precession when you're doing Harriers and hovers and elevators and those kind of things. And so you can actually set your throttle at a mid position and fly around and just use your elevator to guide it and control it. You don't have to touch your rudder, you don't have to touch your throttle. The bad to it is it's not real. The good to it is you can also learn how to do some of those corrections easily without having to fight the gyroscopic precession. Well, the next thing you can work on is doing figure eights. So once you've worked on your Harrier and you're going straight and things are working out pretty good, just start working on figure eights. Just go out, turn around, come back, work on your throttle, work on your rudder, work with the ailerons, keep everything balanced out, and just go slow and easy. Just go back and forth over and over. This is something you want to do countless times before you start working on your plane outside, because once you go outside, things change a little bit. Things get a little bit more real. That gyroscopic precession comes into play. You got torque. It's going to start tweaking the plane around a little bit, and it's going to make it a little bit harder. But it does get easier over time. The more you do it, the easier it will get. Just keep repeating the process. Doing the figure eights will help a lot. Alright, so we just want to bring it down to you, bring it down in front of you, and go out wide. Bring it down, go out, hold that elevator, hold that Harrier, hold that Harrier, hold that Harrier. Going back across field, hold the Harrier. You see, going downwind is a little trickier. Okay, you just got to find what works with the wind, and then you hold it. All right, let's go back into the wind. Elevator down to a Harrier. Once we get to a Harrier, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. Go across the field. All right, work on some figure eights. Balancing the aileron and the rudder. Now the trick with figure eights is try to make sure that you're going and turning opposite sides so you can really practice that. Learning to do upright elevators and Harriers is really not that easy. It takes time. It takes a lot of practice, and it can be really frustrating. But if you get out and you practice a lot, you'll learn it, and it'll get easier each time you do it. If you like what I'm doing, please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, happy landings.